There's always a man. There's always a city. There's always a lighthouse.
Hello and welcome to the Ready Up podcast. I'm back. I bet you missed me. You didn't. Don't worry.
He's back. Where is he?
We are here today on episode 10. Yes, we almost need a third hand to just count the amount of episodes we have. This we're gonna start using our toes now. It's gonna be weird.
Hey guys. Look at us, huh?
Look,
Who'd have thought?
Who would have thought?
10 episodes.
Who'd have thought?
Who would
10
have
episodes of
thought
us talking about shite.
we had the attention span to put out 10 episodes? Good lord.
It's been a
Well,
struggle.
let's get on.
Well,
We're going to be talking today about the Bioshock games and basic comparison, also a little bit of a deep dive into some of the aspects of the storytelling, gameplay, how it evolved over the first to the second and then the third. Also a little bit of rumor talk. Talk about a potential new Bioshock game. Which would be absolutely awesome, provided the right people, do it justice. Which we are all very skeptical over, but we'll get into that. We'll get very much into that, don't worry. But of course, our running segment, I assume from the last two episodes, you guys have been continuing this even without me, is what you guys are drinking or playing and watching. Otherwise, I'll be very disappointed.
Do you not watch the episodes that you're not part of?
How dare you?
I can't if they're literal spoilers for shows I haven't watched yet.
That's true. Actually, don't watch them because we bash you a lot in it. So
as expected, yeah. So we're going to start out. Well, first of all, introductions. Let's hear, of course, with the illustrious Brian.
Thank you. Good to have you back.
Thank you so much. Brian, what are you drinking /
what am I drinking right now? I'm just drinking again nature's nectar of water, H2O, because I don't fancy drinking. I just don't fancy it lately. Yeah, I drank a lot there last weekend because I finished my second year of college, and it's kind of ruined drinking for me. I don't want to look at alcohol again.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, that is all.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah.
That happens.
It's taking a weekend off from drink, please. As for what I am watching and playing, I'm watching the final 3 episodes of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because we talked about Marvel stuff the last few weeks there.
Finally.
Much to talk to you about. I have left the last 3 episodes for the last year because I didn't want it to be over, but now I think I'm ready. I also watched the final season of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and I can absolutely say that the final season's good. It's good. There's 3 arcs. About 4 episodes each. The first 8 episodes you can skip. Skip them. It's fine. Not a lot happens in it.
Just don't watch them at all.
Skip them. It's fine. First one's good because it brings in the Bad Batch and they have their own show now, so you get a bit of an introduction. Final 4 episodes take place concurrently with Revenge of the Sith, and you get to see what happens to some of your favorite characters that you've followed since Clone Wars is like 10, 12 years old now.
Yeah.
So it's the ending of their journey, and I said this to Karen earlier during the week, and I stand by it. I think the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars, the last season, are some of the best stuff Star Wars have ever done. Even if you've never watched Star Wars, watch these 4 episodes, and you will see.
The Mandalorian exists.
And sometimes of the same thing. It's fine. We don't talk about it. But the last 4 episodes are I've watched them 3 or 4 times now already. They are beautiful. That's all I'll say. As for what I'm playing, still working my way through the Metal Gear Solid collection.
Also nice.
We talked about this last week. Yeah, haven't. There's like I'm going to play through all of them because I haven't played through all the Metal Gear games in like 10 years. So I'm starting chronologically and I'm going through them all because I have no life after college now, which I'm happy about. Trust me. I'm so happy that I have time to actually watch and
enjoy,
play stuff again and enjoy stuff again. And I can play stuff. I can play stuff and watch stuff now, and not in the back of my head being like,
colors are brighter.
You should be doing college stuff. I'm like, So yeah, that's me.
Very nice. Next up, of course, we have the robust Kieran. Can you describe a person as robust? Because usually I only hear it about describing wine, but like a wine, Kieran is fine. So Kieran.
Oh yeah.
Oh, did you like that intro? I bet you
Yeah, I
Just
did.
say it. I like that.
I'm robust.
did. I bet you like that intro.
I'm a flavor that lingers.
What, you were flavoursome. You were flavoursome. You just.
Yeah.
So what are you drinking and what are you playing? And remember, if you're drinking your mead, please minimize how much you're going to describe it into about a 1-2 minute sort of format.
No, I am not. I am not drinking my meat.
Good.
I will be opening up one bottle because since intercounty travel has now been lifted, I finally get to see Baven, and we are going to drink our cherry mead that we made.
Oh, very
But at the
nice.
moment, I'm drinking Brewdog Punk IPA. Beautiful drink. But also,
So-
if you buy one of their packs, you can go onto their website and plant a tree with them, which is really cool.
very nice.
I like that. That's actually
I had
nice.
to-
That's how I got these glasses.
I had to
I got the same
bite
thing when I
my
got these glasses.
tongue so much when you said you were going to go pop open your cherry meat.
I mean, it's been so long, I might as well.
It was just in my head. I was just like, "Don't do it! Don't make the joke! Don't make the joke! Don't make the joke!"
Just do it.
Wow,
do
Kyle. This is a show
Still-
for kids.
I didn't make the joke. I merely just
It's fucking
recapped what you said.
I'm also drinking Francisco Mel Chieftain, which is a...
Are you drinking 2 beers at the same time?
Yes, I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Nice. That's pretty.
I will only believe that if I see you smash them and just pour them into your mouth.
Yeah, you have to do it.
And I don't believe you'll do
literally
that,
at the
so.
same time.
Don't, what's the Harry Potter meme? Don't you stand where he stood. Don't use his name.
So how dare you stand where you stood?
How dare you?
How dare you?
I'm not watching anything. That is worth mentioning anyway. I'm just watching like crap TV for last week. Playing. I'm still playing Persona 5. I was also talking about last week. We will have an episode about Persona 5. I think I'm like 60 hours into it, so I must be at least past the halfway point.
Just about.
Yeah.
You're just past the halfway
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I am, because it's obviously free on PSN this month, I'm playing Battlefield 5, which a game I
Yes.
love. The actual story mode of that is actually pretty good. It's really enjoyable. It was like one of the first games I got on my Xbox, and I was blown away by the graphics. But we got
very
it, and me and the lads have been playing it online, and after like, I don't know, the last year of basically the only multiplayer game playing has just been COD Warzone. It's a nice breath of fresh air being able to play something else with other people,
Right.
and like a new game, a new fresh experience. It's so much fun. Like, and in particular, because I'm terrible with sniper rifles in COD. Horrible. I cannot land a shot to save my life. Any shot I've ever landed in COD with a sniper is pure and utter luck. Should not have ever happened. It was just luck. But in Battlefield, I'm a cracking shot with a sniper rifle. I'll just be landing headshots left, right, and center, and it's so satisfying. So satisfying. So I'm really enjoying playing that, especially with you guys as well. So.
Very nice.
Just
Very nice.
before we move on to this Kyle here for a second, just shout out to Baven for being a great person.
Yeah.
Great.
And guys, did you guys know, and you actually did because I already said it, it was her birthday this weekend. Let's wish Baven a happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Will we sing happy? No, we won't sing happy birthday. Happy birthday, Baven.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. We totally knew. I swear we knew.
Yep, have it on my calendar.
Anyway, moving very quickly on
Literally
before
put it in our
Kieran,
group chat. Now, on to the ever wonderful,
No. Oh, yes, sorry.
ever gorgeous, intelligent, influential, Twitch streaming legend.
Jesus.
We have Jacksepticeye, everyone. Here he comes.
Guys, come on in, guys.
He just walks in like Fred. Hi.
Just walks into the... No, we don't. We have Kyle.
Kyle.
Tell us, Kyle, what have you been drinking? What have you been playing? What have you been watching?
Didn't see it there. huh?
It's been so long.
It's
I
been
know,
so
right?
long.
I am drinking also out of a cup, which, by the way, is just weird to drink out of. It's water. And I don't know why, but drinking water out of a cup is just seems
Get on a
unnatural.
mug. It's a bit weird.
It doesn't feel right, does it?
No.
Doesn't feel right. It really doesn't.
like,
and I don't know why.
yeah.
It's the same thing.
don't like it.
It's just weird.
It's like
but
the only things that should ever be in mugs are like coffee, tea, and hot chocolate,
and
in my
ale.
opinion.
Yeah.
They need to be in,
Frosty
like, they need to be
Tankard.
proper, like,
big
tankards,
ass
yeah.
tankard, yeah. So yeah, I'm just drinking water because I was drinking yesterday because my favorite pub opened up, and I was there. So I'm on the water. I'm on the water today just to be nice because I have work tomorrow as well. So I need to recover the old brain. Still a bit fuzzy, but you know, getting there. In terms of what I'm playing, I did start like literally yesterday. I think I started a bit of the second playthrough for Resident Evil. Resident Evil
saw
2,
that actually.
because
I saw that
I've never actually. I had a weird thing when I first got it because I got it as borrowed off of. Good lord, was it Kieran? Kieran, was it you or was it Brian who gave me that copy? Kieran, you gave me the copy.
It was me. It was Karen.
Kieran, you gave me the copy. And I played I think I just about finished it with Leon. I actually can't remember. I have to go back on the saves. I have 2 save files on it for some reason. I don't know why. I think one of them was finished. But I was like, oh, I'm going to play as Claire this time. Finished with Claire, and then I got the second thing for Leon. So maybe I didn't even finish it the first time with Leon. I don't know. Either way, started off with it, and immediately, you get the cool gun in the guard outbox place. But then the liquors come in way earlier, and so is a tyrant, and is all like, okay, shit has gotten real damn fast. And it's good.
You thought this was easy?
It's
so good. I've been really enjoying it.
That game.
Replayed a bit of Spider-Man as well, just for the sake of just swinging around the place. It's therapeutic.
Fun.
Still to this day, one of my absolute all-time favorite PlayStation games.
It's great. And season 9 for Apex Legend has come out. So
have you played that? Actually, yeah. Have you played the new arena?
Have played the new arena, yeah.
Is it fun?
It is fun. I think it's probably, if you're looking to make any kind of a coherent team for Battle Royale, arena is literally the greatest training ground you will ever ask for, because you are pitted against another team. And there's no ways about it. You have to take out that other team. And when you're in...
I might jump on that then.
When you're in, the Battle Royale, there's all these different ways that you can sort of avoid and come back again and all this kind of stuff to get an upper hand later on and stuff like that. In this, you really are just pitted against them. So you really have to be strategic about how you approach it and everything like that. And so it's great if you want to have a team, if you want to build a team around for Battle Royale, to go into the arena and just test out a few different strategies and things like that, and it's really, really good for that stuff.
I might jump on that then to kind of train me in, because when I was playing with you, I think I got 2 kills. I was super proud of myself for getting those 2 kills. But I really enjoyed it. I to be fair, I more enjoyed Apex than I have Warzone. Now, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy playing Warzone, especially when you get those wins. It's so satisfying. But I really enjoyed Apex, despite the fact I was getting shot every 5 seconds. You know, it was hilarious.
It takes some getting used to, but it's a good.
It does.
You were also playing on the console, weren't you?
No, I was playing on PC with you, and I don't play PC games, so it's almost new thing to me. I'm a console player.
Yeah, there's some getting used to, but PC is way faster paced than... nothing against console players. That whole PC is whole PC versus console thing debate is stupid. Play games how you like. It's all good.
Just play them.
It's all great.
If you enjoy it,
couldn't agree more.
It's such a dumb argument. But
guess what? It's almost like gamers are dumb.
Oh man, stop! No, let's not bring up this debacle, because it's
PC is just objectively better in terms of controls, just faster response. That's all. Doesn't mean it's any less enjoyable or any less in terms of the skill involved in it. But whatever. It's definitely something getting used to.
You do you, boo boo.
But you do you. In terms of what I've been watching, I've watched...
Before you jump on that, I won't lie, I also downloaded Apex Aim Trainer. Because I was like, my aim is so bad on PC, I need to train this shit.
Go for it. A lot of people
it
swear
does.
by
I swear to you, a lot of people
beforehand,
swear by. To be fair, it's actually it's good fun, just kind of every half hour, because I do it when I'm editing the episodes. I will literally just jump in on Aim Trainer and just be play it for a half hour while it's I'm rendering the video, and I'll just play away, and it's actually it's one of those things. It's I don't have to concentrate on anything. I'm just shooting things. That's it. It's fun. It's good.
Yeah. So in terms of what I've been watching, which I Highly recommend. I don't know if you actually have. Maybe you did say you watched it. I don't know. Invincible?
Yeah, I've seen it. All of
I
it.
haven't watched it yet. I really want to watch it.
So good. Watched it twice.
Very. Yeah, it's
Literally
very,
watched it twice.
Very good.
Do you know what? I will say it is very good. Definitely very good. I don't know what it is about it, but I can say it's great. I'm not there yet to give it that like sort of 9 out of 10 sort of mark. I could only give it a solid 8. A very enjoyable solid 8. But it just feels like is it just do you feel that something missing?
Do you know what it do you know what I think it is?
One thing.
Do you know what took me out of it? It's probably not the same thing that I did for you, but the audio mixing was really bad in it. I don't know if you noticed where like at times you couldn't understand what people were saying. You know, I had my TV up very loud for watching stuff, or I watch it with headphones, and I just can't hear what I have to rewind it back and be like, wait, what did they say? And then sometimes some of the animation can be a bit janky, but I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. Like it's
for me, what took it out for me was just. Oh God, I can't worry now. I don't really want to. I don't think it's a spoiler.
You can't spoil it.
I don't think it is.
Just take off my head. I'll just take off your head.
Yeah, do just because it's literally gonna be like 5 seconds. Okay. Invisible. Now this is from Ro, by the way. She's the one who actually mentioned this as being what might have actually got me why I missed from it, and I think she hit the nail straight on the head with it. Invincible never wins. It's a whole season of just. Now, don't get me wrong, that builds up for a potential brilliant, like, season 2, really great character growth, but as a singular season, Invincible never wins. It is him constantly getting beaten, and it can be a bit, you know, like, can he just win something?
I was looking at it, I'm like, he's gonna win, he's gonna have to get, like, a small victory here and there to boost his confidence. No, that guy, for a guy whose name is Invincible, as Seth Rogen's character said,
I fought you there a bit. You seem very invincible.
Yeah, what a cast that's in that show, by the way.
Good. But let's get Kieran back, because he's going to be...
Yeah, we'll get Kieran.
Do you know what I just realised while I took my headset off?
What?
I'm editing this. It doesn't matter. I'll have to listen to it anyway.
You just take your headphones off again when you're editing, because you're just adding into it. Yeah, you're just...
What we said... Not really that spoilery.
That's it. Yeah. I just wanted to make...
I will watch it.
In terms of spoilers that you can get for that show, that's not the worst one.
Don't go anywhere near Facebook. There's a meme. There's a meme now around Facebook that's going everywhere about...
I've seen it everywhere I have.
Two main characters in a situation that is very pivotal to the story. Is literally the very last episode, and it's just been turned into memes for days.
Yeah.
Do you know
if you don't like blood and gore, by the way, don't watch it, because it's very bloody and gory.
Have you?
Now, Karen, I know I'm not saying that for you. I'm saying that for
general. Same people who did Walking Dead, isn't it?
Yeah,
the same writer.
Comic,
he wrote the comic and the thing. Robert Kirkman. Yeah. Also renewed for season 2 and 3, so it'll be back for
it was popular.
2 more seasons.
It did very well for itself.
Yeah. I have a feeling the next season's going to be better, because they're like, okay,
yes, 100%.
We've got all that out of the way. Let's ramp up into
let's go full
really
throttle.
Cool shit. Yeah.
Okay, I think we're
all right.
Are we about ready to start talking about the actual subject?
Let us jump on into this.
Jump on into this thing.
Bioshock.
We're talking about Bioshock, baby.
Bioshock.
Now,
2007.
You guys were saying you have a new format now for this, so what's the format?
Maybe a little.
What we are going to do, I think. Right, so because in the first few episodes when we were talking about a couple of things, we were essentially just summarizing and kind of going chronological from one point to the next to the next to the next.
Yeah, this is 3 games. You can't do that.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Let's not. We can't do that with a lot of things, and let's not like jump around the bush. You've watched what we're talking about. If you are listening to this, you don't want to reminisce about something. You want to. We'll talk about our opinions, and maybe you'll agree with it. Maybe you won't. Leave it down in the comments if you do. If you don't, leave it down in the comments, and then we'll lambast you.
Cry.
No, we
We'll
won't. No, we won't.
We'll
We won't,
assume
yeah.
we're benevolent and know everything. And
we're assuming we're right about everything.
Yeah, of course, because we're YouTubers.
automatically.
So,
I don't like being
opinion
called
based
a
anyway.
YouTuber, but okay.
Yeah. So what instead we will talk about is, I think for Bioshock, let's say, for example, because Falcon the Winter Soldier and WandaVision, what we were talking about is what we like, what we didn't like, and then mixed opinions, and then hopefully what we would see going forward. I think for the likes of Bioshock, especially for games, I think it's important to kind of talk about, one, the gameplay, and second, the story, which is, I suppose, inclusive of characters. And then what we liked, what we didn't like, and then kind of what we want from the next Bioshock 4 that's supposedly and is more than likely definitely being made, you know?
Yeah.
So,
It's been rumored for so long.
I would love
now,
it so
yeah.
much. Even though it's not going to
And
be made by the
it's-
same studio, I just want another
No.
big gulp
no,
of
give it,
Bioshock.
give it to me.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
Give me a big gulp Bioshock.
Every-
Go for it.
I was just gonna say, like, every time I've had another Bioshock game come out, I've always had this pensive feeling. I'm kind of be like, oh, will I like it? Is it going to be good? Will it live up to Bioshock? Because I'm like, I bought Bioshock 1 at a complete whim, and it's probably one of my favorite games.
It is amazing. Fun fact about the first Bioshock that I only just like literally read earlier today, looking back over a couple of things. Apparently, it came out around the time when the first iPhone did.
Yep, 2007.
What? I vividly remember being an Extravision and Wexford, being back in the shop, and just like rummaging through games, picking this up. And you remember, like, when you used to get, well, you still do, you get the sleeves of games and they always have that shiny kind of glimmer to it. Picked it up and I was like, ooh, that's shiny in a typical, I don't know, fashion. And I was like, that looks interesting. It looks like kind of, you know, cyberpunky kind of almost. Well, not cyberpunky, fucking steampunky almost. So I was like, I'll go buy that. I think I was underage at the time as well. I think I was like 17. I was only a short time off. I don't know what age I was actually, to tell you the truth. I know I wasn't 18. Oh, that was 15 still, wasn't it? Anyway, but I picked it up.
Oh, that was 18.
Been,
it was hard 18.
Yeah. Oh, was it?
I mean,
I was always very
you can get
pensive about
drilled
like
in
the
the
next
face.
ones.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah, you can get drilled in the face.
You can also just explode people. So.
Yeah.
And the little sisters are literally nightmare-inducing.
Stop.
Creepy.
I don't know if you guys know this about me, but a lot of people that know me well, one of the things that I can't handle in horror are kids. Little girls particularly.
Little girls.
I have said this to numerous people that, God forbid, if I ever had a daughter or something in the future, and if she woke me up in the middle of the night, I would drop kick that girl straight out the window. I would be terrified. I would drop kick her so quickly out the window.
Oh,
You heard it here, listeners.
Yeah.
wow.
Do you know what the scariest part of
Being a child and trying to wake your dad up and getting dropped
Yeah.
in the face. That'd be pretty damn
Do you-
terrifying.
Do you know what the scariest part of Dawn of the Dead is? And the rest of it's hilarious because it's brilliant. Great film. The scariest part is that very start where the girl comes in and chews off her dad's neck. Oh, it's terrifying.
Always a little girl.
And that
man.
moment, and she gets
Shining.
fucked down the hallway and jumps up on her, and it's terrifying, horrible.
Girls, man. One of the most amazing things has to be said about Bioshock is Bioshock effectively created, like, even though they didn't, you could say they didn't create, but they kind of gave that sort of staple mark of being like a comparative video game, as in like anything after Bioshock.
Yeah.
If it's similar to it, people will refer to Bioshock as being sort of almost like the
absolutely.
original.
A hallmark title.
It is, because like you play these newer
Yeah.
games and you're like, oh, it's kind of like a mix between Bioshock and then some other game. But Bioshock is being used as that hallmark example of literally being
Yeah.
the default of that style. That
And rightfully so.
oh
Right-
god,
oh, yeah, rightfully so.
rightful.
Absolutely
that sort
rightfully
of
so.
dark, creepy, realistic
'Cause
to a
it's-
degree in terms of the graphics, I guess, in terms of its gore and everything like that. It doesn't shine away from it, but that like it's like everything's like, it's really rapture and everything that. Everything was just drippy and like grimy and
Bits of coral and stuff like that growing on the
awful, like
walls
disgusting.
and
But at the same time, you just get this glimmer of something beautiful. Then you're like, oh, and then you look
Yeah,
around
you-
and these creatures come at you. It's like,
Yeah.
this is strange.
You look outside the one of the windows and you're like, holy shit, you're in a city
Yeah.
under the ocean. There's whales and all these things like swimming around. You're like, that's stunning. And then
Yeah.
turn around to see a coked up,
Yeah.
essentially a coked up
Bunny
person
masked.
with two hooks for hands trying to
yeah.
slice at you.
Yeah,
Like,
with
cool.
a bunny mask. Like
Cool.
the funny thing with Bioshock is that if you break it down and compare it to a lot of games, it's very, very simple. It is a simple storyline. It's not over the top. There's no loads of twists and turns. Yes, there is.
It's
let's
one
say,
big one.
big twist, but it's a
I
very
mean, it's
simple
pretty much famous
storyline.
for its twist, I
Yeah,
would say.
exactly.
And that twist
but it's
became
very-
iconic.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Completely
Like a lot
iconic.
of but it's in comparison to a lot of games that are held to such of a high caliber. It's not this big cinematic kind of experience that you go through. That's not to say that's not a bad thing, because it is has a good solid storyline, a good solid twist, good solid gameplay, a terrible last boss, and some great like gameplay mechanics. Just even like the shooting is great. It's very simple, but it's very fluid, and even just like all the powers and stuff like that, very fluid and very ingenious. And there's great ways to kind of like create different ways to kill things. The enemies are amazing. Just
single
the
one.
environment, Rapture itself is absolutely fantastic.
You can't talk about
Overall,
Bioshock
it's
without
just
talking
so
about
simple, and it's probably one of the greatest games ever created, I would say, in my opinion.
I
It
like
deserves to be up in the pantheon of
Oh.
the greatest games.
I
Absolutely.
like to refer to like the Bioshock games as sort of like, it's like the game version of a Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah.
Takes you on a journey, and that journey is fucking weird. And you're kind of like with
little bit
Christopher
scary.
with Christopher Nolan's movies, a lot of them, well, a fair amount of them, they all have twists. There's always a twist in it, which Bioshock likes to do, which is great, because really that's Bioshock was not the first to come up with a big twist in a game.
no.
Absolutely
Oh,
not.
God.
Far from it. But it was definitely one of the biggest ones in terms of that got people's attention universally. Like it as it became
I think it was just very smart.
it was
way up.
very smart
The-
because it laid it so much in your face from the beginning.
Yeah.
It
And that's
wasn't
the, it's
that's-
like,
From the beginning.
it was
do
hidden.
you remember when M.
hidden
Night
in plain
Shyamalan
sight?
did twists that were great? Do you, we've talked about this previously before. Do you remember when M. Night Shyamalan did great twists, and they were just
Yeah.
all through the whole thing? It was very in your face, and you should have picked up on it, and it was pointed out to you. You were just like, I'm an idiot. You know, and the same thing with Bioshock. I didn't see that coming up to that point
Nope.
at all.
No, I don't think
Absolutely
I haven't spoken to anyone back then or even now when they play the game for the first time. Nobody sees it coming.
No.
And that's
No.
a testament to the writing of that game, because the writing in that game is
Brilliant.
flawless.
Yep.
Anything, like, you could have long-winded speeches about the socio-political capitalism versus communism versus socialism, and you can have all that stuff there, and yet you're like, oh my god, this is so interesting.
Yeah.
Just keep talking. I will say, I stand on saying this, I think Bioshock has probably, at least in my top three anyway, my top three favorite beginnings to any game, because you're obviously, you have the plane crash, and you're like, oh shit, I'm in a plane crash. You get in that the light, you go into the lighthouse because there's always a lighthouse. There's always a girl. There's always a lighthouse. And then you go down, and then you're in the bathysphere, and it's going down. And Andrew Ryan comes on, and he talks about he has this amazing. It's one of my favorite speeches in in media, even.
Sweat on your brow.
You know, well, yeah, is the man in the field not entitled to the sweat on his brow? No, says the man in the White House, it belongs to us. Or no, says the man in the Kremlin, it belongs to everyone. Or no, says the man in the Vatican, it belongs to God. And he's like, I wanted to create a place where a person was free of all of that, could come down and do whatever they want, free from governments, religions, anything, ideologies, anything. And I created Rapture. And just at that moment, the screen lifts,
the
and you
screen
see
lifts.
Rapture, and you're like, in 2007, you're playing this, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Is it bad that I kind of like that idea? That Rapture kind of sounds pretty bitchin'.
Oh no, I love the idea,
no,
but at some reason, at the same time, I'm like, it would end the exact way.
Oh yeah,
Bioshock ended.
100%.
I love the idea,
There's
but it would end the same way.
There's a problem with humanity.
People.
And the funny thing is that as you play through the first Bioshock and you keep hearing more from Andrew Ryan, you're like, you ended up creating what you didn't want. You controlled what came in and out of the city. You control what people knew. So you essentially, even though it's never stated in the game, or it's never, the word's never thrown out, you became a dictator.
Yeah.
You became the very thing you fought against.
You sought to destroy.
Poetry.
Yeah,
Poetry.
it's beautiful. It's such it's. And then, like, you can't talk about the first Bioshock without talking about the city itself. Because I know I said this a few weeks back, and like, I stand by it, and a lot of people do. Is like, Rapture itself is the main character of that game. Like, I was like, what do you mean? Because every single shop front, every single street you go onto has neon signs. Everything is named. There's posters everywhere you look, advertising, you know, the different plasmas, the Big Daddies, the Andrew Ryan, the Who is Atlas, Frank Fontaine, all that stuff. So everywhere you go, you can picture almost every room of that game.
Yeah.
I can anyway.
There's
I can picture like all the hallways that are broken glass, dripping with grimy water, with some sea life on the floor and everything. Is that it's just, I can picture every aspect of that game. I can smell it almost.
I do remember saying this before, but I didn't quite actually talk about it. There was a fellow who essentially did an academic paper on. I can only imagine he was like a gaming student or something like that, but he did an academic paper on Bioshock, and he broke down the reasons why Rapture is a character. And it is very, very good, and is essentially, as you're saying, Brian, it is very much that of how iconic it is. As like, when you think of Bioshock, the first thing you think of is Rapture. Like the scenery, the underwater, neon signs, beautiful, like, Big Daddies, burst pipes going through, and like flooded sections, and amazing.
It's the first thing I think of.
Yeah,
what's your first? I'm curious, Kyle. You're shaking your head.
What's the first thing you think of then?
First thing I think of when I hear the word Bioshock, immediately in my head, boom, is a Big Daddy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't argue against that.
That is the first thing.
Iconic.
Don't get me wrong. I like the sort of that idea of like, oh, Rapture is like a character. It's a little bit up your own hole for my liking, but
I mean, when you're a film student, this is how you gotta think, alright?
The reason that, like, you know, because honest to God, I only mess with you, but like, I do remember, like, the first thing when you started saying about a character, all I could think about was that episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine when Holt was pretending to know about Sex in the City to distract that person. The FBI was having that conversation about all the characters in Sex in the City. He goes, well, 6 if you count the city of New York, and they both say it themselves at the same time.
It's so good.
That's just that it comes into my head when I hear that.
Yeah.
No, Big Daddy for me is the most iconic. The Big Daddy with the little sister, because though that image is so, like, unique in so many ways, because, like, the little girl as being creepy, that's not unique. Been done a lot. Little girls can be terrifying.
Oh yeah,
but there was something, like, they took it into a different level, because she might have been creepy to us, but we then got to see how she saw the world.
Yeah.
Which sort of justified her behavior. So it wasn't a case that she was just some demon child. She actually saw these people as angels.
As angels. Did we see that in 1? I know we definitely see it in 2.
I think I don't actually know if we see it in 1. I think it was 2. So I think 2
2
explained it further, because you being a Big Daddy.
I recently played through 2. Yeah, I recently played through 2, and you get to play as and it's all that angelic. I'm curious, I can't remember if that was in
angelical, bright, and you saw the angels, and it was so it explained why they were creepy to us because of the environment we were seeing, but they themselves were not acting all that weird. If you think from
they were fine.
If you think from what they see, it actually was fine. They were lollying, like going around, because why wouldn't they? They were basically on the Titanic before it sank in terms of how beautiful it looked. And,
Essentially, yeah.
yeah.
I think one of the smartest things that Bioshock did as well is because the main storyline of Bioshock isn't the little sisters and the big daddies, but it essentially creates this sub-story within the game where you're going after and trying to either save all the little sisters or turn against them, I suppose, and suck them up and kill the little big daddies. And then what 2 did was gave you the story of the little sisters and the big daddies.
Yeah.
That was, I suppose, an amazing way to pass on kind of into a sequel.
Yeah, I think they did a great job with that, because they were so iconic. Like, every time you saw them, you were kind of like, first thing I always did when I saw Big Daddy and the little girl was check my ammo.
Yeah, I was
check
literally the
health,
automatic
ammo.
thing of just like, do I have enough bazookas to fuck this guy up?
Yeah.
Do I
It's
have
like,
enough
they
right
were
now to
tough,
fight this shit?
Yeah, because they are
were tough,
deadly, which is brilliant. They were
And-
so
and-
formidable. And just visually imposing, because again, you hear the footsteps just booming down on the ground, and
the
little
very
sister
first-
just frolicking and all cash about it all.
Do you remember the first introduction of the Big Daddy in
Repeat.
Bioshock? 1 was when you're above the scaffolding and you're kind of looking through the window and you see the little sister kind of stabbing, getting the Adam out of the corpse. And one of the splicers comes up behind it and she screams and the Big Daddy just smashes him up in the window, drills him into it, and you're just looking at all this on the other side, just going,
you're like, oh
my
God.
sweet Jesus. Oh my God.
Yeah, I remember that. And another thing as well for in terms of the game, because we've already kind of said it, but the world building that takes place in that game, like every character you meet kind of has a story. You can has a backstory. Every character you meet, even you can find tapes, and
Sandra
which
Cohen
the audio logs are my favorite
the
thing.
To me, one of the
In
most
all
iconic.
3 of the
So
games, because it
great.
fleshes out so many characters that you learn so much about everyone.
Yeah.
But like, you can even find tapes on dead bodies, and then that can be a tape from that person who just died, but you've been following that person's story since the start through audio tapes, anything. And it's like, oh, this is how it ended for you.
Yeah,
And it's
I
like,
love that.
Yeah, it just again helped create that world, that made the city more feel alive and it was lived in. And
I think
there's one thing we never got in any of the Bioshock games, but I would have loved. You technically got it in Burial at Sea for Infinite, but I would have loved to have been able to walk around a pre-destroyed Rapture. Even for a little bit.
you do get that
Just
in
to see
2.
what it was like. You kind of get it in
You get it in 2 as well, where at the very start of the game when you're alpha, you're going through.
Yeah.
It's essentially you're at the New Year's Eve party where everything
You're
goes
at the
to hell.
party.
Which is when the revolt or civil war really broke
the
out.
Civil Wars began there. Yeah, and like you see it in Burial at Sea in 3 as well.
Yeah.
Or not 3.
Which is an amazing DLC. Jesus.
Incredible.
Fantastic.
Incredible.
Incredibly
DLC.
sad as well. I found that
It's
so
probably
sad.
because I remember when I played Infinite and you get to the end and you're swapping through so many fucking worlds and you end up in Rapture in one of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was mind blown. I was like, oh my God, they've actually connected it, you know? And I remember
didn't
saying in a
think they were
previous
gonna do it.
episode where I always count Infinite as kind of a spin-off. In some way, shape, or form, because I know like the whole tying together is there's always a lighthouse, there's always a girl. Yes, that's absolutely true, but I was always like it's a spin-off because it doesn't take place. 1 and 2 took place in Rapture. Columbia was a spin-off. I know, Kyle, you're disagreeing with me now,
So
but
much.
it is. It's like it's like Spider-Man Miles Morales. It's a spin-off. It's not technically 2, you know.
No, that's because it
It's set in the
literally
same
was
universe, though.
called the
Oh, I know.
by the developer.
It's kind of one of those things of like it's a new, you know, it's the same franchise, the same idea, but it's like pushing a different area,
Same
and they
world.
finally kind of.
I expect 4 to do the
But-
same.
Yeah, of course.
Completely new
My
and
God,
different.
when they brought the DLC for Buried at Sea, fantastic, amazing.
Burial at Sea is amazing. Oh,
Very
I've only ever
confusing.
played Burial at Sea once. I want to go back. I found it so sad though.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
Yeah,
I don't want to watch
heartbreaking.
it again because the end of it,
Yeah,
Elizabeth, spoilers,
Elizabeth.
died, and that's the Elizabeth that you helped
Yeah.
through the
You helped
entire
through
first
that,
game,
yeah.
and then essentially that's all Elizabeth's gone. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I
Because
don't want this. I don't want this to happen.
Yeah.
Please no. Yeah.
The
Like
idea
she's
of
hearing
is-
Booker DeWitt as well.
Yeah,
Ah,
and I think
All the more upsetting.
one of the things that really pissed me off about Bioshock Infinite is the idea, and I know I'm jumping.
We're jumping forward,
right
but
now.
it's fine.
I won't talk about this. I'm going to talk about it later.
Okay.
Let's because let's say we have our overall opinions on Bioshock right now. We've kind of talked about, I suppose, the little bits of the combat and obviously bigger tatties, Rapture as well. What's, I suppose, let's go into the like your favorite things. Your like what you thought was particularly just good, even from all the series. Like let's talk about what were your favorite kind of parts.
By far,
straight off the bat, again.
Go for it, Brian.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just straight off the bat, the thing that I think is the one true constant through all three of them is world building. Every single world is so detailed, and those audio logs and every character is fantastic. Just the worlds, you can almost everything's very fleshed out. You can almost, like, it sounds pretentious to say, but when I'm in Colombia or in Rapture, I can almost smell it and taste that air that's in there. It's like, oh, it's horrible. I can almost sense being there. Oh, yeah. I love it. But that's for me the constant
that, like, straight away is because I only recently restarted Bioshock Infinite, but I absolutely loved when because you get to the lighthouse, you get shot up in the sky, and you get that overall look of loads of Colombia. But the starting interaction of Colombia you get is you going through the fun fair, and you get to play the games and stuff like that, and you get to you're essentially attacking the Vox Populi and stuff like that, and you get to play little mini games, and then you get pulled into for the raffle.
You get to see some hands-on racism.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and I absolutely loved it about the game. It was like you got 5 minutes of, oh, this is a really nice city I got to take and everything. It's like I got to see these little weird things, and I was like, because I remember I first played it, and it didn't hit me the time period, I suppose. I didn't really put 2 and 2 together, I suppose, because I was playing the Vox Populi game, and there was like the imagery of the monkey, and it didn't really hit me at the time until it got to that part where it was the man and the woman who obviously were in love, and they were caught because the man was black.
Interracial marriage.
Yeah, it was a no.
Can't be doing that in
not in
1920s
Colombia.
And you are picked for the raffle, and as soon as like you get the option to throw it at the people or throw it at the person, and I was like, fuck that guy, how dare he be racist. I was like, fuck that, and you get it caught.
Yeah. And
when you're traveling throughout all of Colombia, you are just getting this full front racism, and I suppose because we're from Ireland.
The whole thing of Battle of Wounded Knee and everything. You go into the massive the museum to do with that and everything. Oof.
But we're from Ireland. During the start of the century in America, there was a lot of racism towards the Irish as well. It essentially kind of went dogs, blacks, Irish kind of thing. It was kind of a big thing because we just went over by the abundance over there, so there's obviously a lot of hate towards us.
Was anyway.
They
like
we
us
don't
now.
get that anymore.
They like us
now. Like they like to tell us how we are related. They're Irish as well.
They're all related to us now.
Yeah. But at the time I was playing the game, I didn't know any of that, I suppose, because I wasn't as interested in history as I was back then. Like my love for history was kind of like World War I, World War II, civil wars and stuff like that, Irish War of Independence, Easter Rising, stuff like that. It was those kind of typical periods. I didn't realize there was that level of racism, so I had to like go and Google why there was like the murals and stuff like that of like no Irish and stuff in Colombia. I didn't realize this.
It's intense.
Which is absolutely mental.
Intense.
But
it's also another thing. This kind of goes off the racing, but in that same section you get, and even throughout the game, you get the songs, the a cappella bands that pop up and sing songs that are not from that timeline, which pops into a bit of time travel that goes on in that game. But I love being at the very start of that. You're going through the fun fair, and then like the a cappella band comes up and they're singing a Bee Gees song.
Yeah.
You guys shouldn't be singing that.
Yeah, I only copied
But again,
that
it's
the
that,
last time I played it.
it's that word building. Yeah, it's like there's a whole load of songs that pop up in that game that are like none of these.
Yeah.
But again, it's all because of Elizabeth and
A
her.
bit of timey-wimey
Timey
Not even
wimey
Elizabeth. It's the Lutece twins.
into rift
world
travel.
creating. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's it's
Kyle, you
it's
were going to
absolutely
say something that you absolutely loved, and before you let me go first, so what were you going to say?
Oh, like my thing that I loved about the three games, like their first and second one is pretty much the same. It's the Big Daddy and the Little Sisters. The third one was Elizabeth's character. She was and Booker DeWitt. The relationship between Booker DeWitt and Elizabeth
It's
was
fantastic.
phenomenal. I'll go into
Absolutely
that
amazing.
later on. We'll go more into the third one, but that is a phenomenal thing. But for the first two ones, I was obsessed with like the Big Daddies and Little Sister stuff. So when the second one was available to me, because I didn't play it when it first came out, because obviously I was 12 at the time or something like that. So like when I did eventually play them, the Big Daddies just sort of like it's that weird sort of thing that's fascinating about them, is that like they're not just aggro mobs. They don't just attack you for no reason, but you have seen them attack other people and other things, and they attack them in such a vicious, horrendous way that you immediately are like sort of startled by them. So even when you see them for the first time as you're playing the game in an encounter where you actually have the option to attack them, it's a bit you kind of get thrown back a bit, because you're like, this guy, I just saw him like literally drill into a person's stomach and like have them spin around and guts flying everywhere. So do I really want to piss this guy off? And the answer to that was yes. But anyway, absolutely. But what was great about it is because they kind of take that sort of like, it's kind of like an animalistic approach. It's like when you know about deadly and dangerous animals, like pick any of them, lions or whatever, that could literally rip your face off, but you're still kind of want to look at them. And you'd love to see them as well. So the Big Daddy, I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but like they kind of made you kind of look and you go, kind of cautiously sort of look at them like, wow. It's like crikey, mate, it's a Big Daddy. So you kind of have that bit of a vibe to it, which I loved. And then the mystery behind the Little Sisters, their playfulness in such a dark area was just like, it just throws these questions at you of why, and I was like obsessed with wanting to know more about them. The Big Daddy program, the Little Sister program, and then eventually the Big Sister program, and all this other stuff, which again, going back with Brian with the world building, is so fantastic that you get to see that development of where they came from and why. Like the Big Daddies only came about because the Little Sister program, which was there before the Big Daddies, obviously, they started to encounter a few problems with the meth addicts of Rapture. I was like, we need something to protect them. But
and what we'll do is we'll take people and put them into these suits, and
but also genetically sort of attach that
link them,
the sort of the literal like parental,
because that's brought into 2 where Alpha, because the original program linked them directly to one little sister, which was Alpha, so he had one little sister, that was it. And then obviously when they pushed on with the Bigger Daddy program, it was that any Big Daddy could attach to any little sister. It was just this internal to protect all of them, I suppose.
Yeah, it was a paternal sort of thing that they genetically engineered into the Big Daddy to feel a parental attachment to the little sister, which the little sister obviously did not reciprocate. I don't think so. They didn't have, like, they obviously liked the Big Daddy and everything like that because he protected them and whatever. Yeah. But I don't recall if there was anything done to the little sister to make them feel bonded to the Big Daddy, because the Big Daddy could die and then they would still need that little sister to do their job. So they would need the Big Daddy to again be reattached essentially.
I think you're right on that, because in Bioshock 2 you're obviously playing as Alpha, and when you kill the Big Daddy, the little sister's like, "Oh no, you've killed my Big Daddy," and then you just go off. Like,
and then the little sister's like, "Okay,
I think
okay, new daddy."
Oh no, my light went off.
Oh, your light's gone.
Oh no.
Sorry. Oh no. But
the general art in Bioshock, the art team that was there, the creative mind for the creatures, and the uniqueness of the because one of the best things is just go over the art of it, like the concept art for Bioshock. Do yourself that favor and just look at it, because even the concept art that they didn't take is incredible. Like
there's
the original designs,
I think on the remaster of Bioshock, I haven't played the remaster. Oh no, I have. I suppose I would have, but I didn't see the option. I don't know where it is. But apparently, there's like a museum that you can walk around in. It's like it's on the main menu. You can go in. You can just walk through the initial designs of everything. Now I didn't do it. I probably should have, but it just sounds so cool.
It
actually, one of the things that remember I was saying that because I am actually Bioshock was such my favorite game. I went and bought the collector's edition of Bioshock 2. I'm so sorry that I'm in the dark right now. I went out and bought Bioshock 2. Bioshock 2 came with a vinyl, some posters, of the soundtrack, and it sounds
before vinyl was cool. They gave you
vinyl. Yeah. Because obviously, a lot of the soundtracks you get and a lot of the tapes you get were all vinyl things.
Yeah, of course.
But one of the things that came with it was the concept art book. So you got all the concept art of Bioshock, all the little sisters, all the weapon designs and stuff like that. It was absolutely fantastic.
Didn't the little sisters start off as slugs themselves?
There are slugs that are placed within inside them that are like found outside.
Yeah, but I think I could be totally wrong, but I think I remember seeing that originally they weren't little girls. They were.
If that's true, that's terrifying.
Yeah, I think I could be so wrong, and I really hope I'm not, because I think it's a cool little thing. They were originally not cute little girls. They were like horrid looking things, and I think then were like, you know what?
Let me look into that. Probably not
on that. Yeah.
I do. Going back to what just before the light crashed there. In Bioshock 2, I think it was brought that any of the newer little sisters aren't connected to the big daddies, but I'm pretty sure because when Alpha is trying to find his original little sister, they have that connection when they meet up again, where she's like, because when you're Alpha, you start going through the little rooms and stuff where she had been kept, and she had drawings of Alpha and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think like some of the original little sisters of the original program, they were connected. Yeah, but the newer ones, obviously, I don't think did. Yeah.
I just played Bioshock 2 like 2 weeks ago. I should know the answer to this.
Maybe it's because they found that the big daddies could be killed, that they couldn't then have the little girl be protected by another one, because then they would be attached to the dead big daddy and therefore not being able to do their job. So maybe they rectified.
I think it was a boat way of like if the daddy died, then the little sister would kind of crash, and if the little sister died, then the bigger daddy would go absolutely mental and start going berserk and stuff like that.
Towards the end of the game 2, you fight a whole lot of other series alphas who have gone batshit crazy because their little sister died. And you have to fight them. So
brilliant.
Bam. Also, for the first time, I played the DLC for Bioshock 2. Minerva's Den, which was very good.
Is that an actual DLC? I always thought that was like kind of a horde mode.
No, it's an actual story DLC, about 6-8 hours long. Yeah,
I might play that. Actually, I haven't played that.
Yeah, it's really cool. You go into Minerva's Den, which is the central computing processor for the entire city. So the city automates all the lights and everything like that. So it's
the big reactor really cool thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's really, you get to go to Rapture's prison. I'm like, Rapture had a prison? Of course Rapture had a prison. You get to see it.
You go into it in Infinite.
Huh?
In Infinite, you go into it in the...
In the DLC, do you?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you? You could do.
I could be mistaken.
Again, as I said, I've played all the games multiple times, but the Burial at Sea broke me so badly, I've only played it. Maybe one day. Maybe now, actually. Now that I'm taking off. Maybe
it makes already, again, like the way we're talking about Resident Evil, immediately it's making me want to play Bioshock again.
I completely agree with you guys for essentially all the points you've made. One of the biggest things of why I love the Bioshock series is because it has created so many iconic characters. Like, you know, Sandra Cohen, for example, is probably
Sandra Cohen, man.
I will always remember him. I can't remember his name now, but the surgeon at the start of Bioshock 1 as well.
Not Dr. Shushan. There's another one. Yeah, I know who you're talking about, though, yeah.
Names
the plastic surgeon. He's the plastic surgeon.
Sandra Cohen's my favorite character.
Sandra Cohen was my favorite.
After Andrew Ryan. He's the guy who gets you to go take pictures of the artist.
Yeah.
He gets you to take pictures of his protege. You have to kill his proteges, take pictures of him, and then he frames them on his like opera wall.
Yeah.
And he's not a bad guy. He's doing terrible things, but he doesn't want to kill you. He doesn't care about Andrew Ryan. He just cares about his art.
Yeah, his art.
So like when he appears at the end of his little arc, and I think it's Waltz of the Tulips is playing. I think that's the name of the song. And he just comes down the stair in big bravado spotlight, gives you what you want, and sends you on your way. You can kill him if you want.
I kill him.
But like, why would you?
I absolutely
because you can.
Have you? Yeah, like, and I think another.
I suppose a man chooses, a slave obeys. I forgot. Yeah.
Not only just for the creation of the great and characters in it. I mean, you have like, you know, Sandra Cohen, Andrew Ryan. You've your main character, even the likes of the Little Sisters, the Bigger Daddies, the Songbird, everything. Everyone's created within that game is amazing. Like Comstock, absolutely fantastic. Daisy from the Vox Populi, stuff like that.
Daisy Fitzroy.
Daisy Fitzroy. I love Infinite so much, man.
So good. See, out of the three, personally, Infinite is my favorite. Even though one is the most iconic, and I understand most people prefer one, and that's totally fine. Infinite is 100% my favorite by far, and that's because you're in between.
I go back and forth. I don't know.
Infinite for me for one reason, and that's because in the first one with the twist made me go, oh, shit, and like literally go, Mike, that was brilliant. 2 had a twist out of that, and I still think it's a great game. 3 made me literally try and go to sleep and spend 4 hours trying to sleep, staring up at the ceiling, questioning my own goddamn existence.
Yeah, questioning like, everything. That game ruined
because
me for
in
a while.
his reality, nothing happened once everything was sort of solved, shall we say. When he at the ending, when he opened the door and Elizabeth was just there asleep as a baby, and she was never stolen because it was all rectified and everything like that. It was literally like you could wake up, the idea of you waking up one day, all of that could have happened and you would be none the wiser. And
you have no idea, You could wake up tomorrow, viewer or listener, and you could have had a big old adventure.
A whole parallel universe that you had no idea about.
Because like, look, I will start off. Let's move into the things we didn't like. Let's say.
Oh, didn't like.
My biggest. And I one of the funniest things is one of the things I didn't like was Bioshock 2 years ago and I remember we were talking about this beforehand. I replayed it when I got the collection and I was like, I was an idiot. This game is phenomenal. It's fantastic.
It's a great game.
I was an idiot. Past Kieran's a fool. One of the things I didn't like about and Bioshock Infinite is one of my favorite, and the reason why I love Bioshock Infinite so much is because of the whole entire arc of Elizabeth and Booker. They develop such a powerful relationship. Yeah. It's amazing, and it's heartbreaking at the end where it just all comes to a climax of essentially Booker accepting he needs to die. And there goes the problem that I have. Booker sacrifices himself. He essentially, all the Elizabeths kill where Booker splits off. So when he is baptized, that moment he is baptized, when he's obviously brought back up there, that's where Booker diverts into the multiple Bookers. And at that point where they murder him, should have eliminated all the Bookers.
It did.
Booker is no more. No, it didn't, because you have the DLC Burial at Sea, where it brought in a Booker who works in Rapture. And it always really annoyed me, the fact that the DLC brought into the idea that the original Elizabeth is going through all the fragments of parallel universes to eliminate Bookers.
But was it not the idea that, like,
No, she's eliminating Comstocks.
Yeah, Comstocks, not Bookers. But like
no, because she kills the Booker within Rapture as well.
Who is Comstock as well?
Is that
But
not
same person?
He's Booker. Yeah, because they're all Comstock is Booker.
Yeah, but is that not because, like, in a sort of way, so long as there's an Elizabeth, there's a Booker, or there's a Comstock. So because
there's always a girl.
because there is still that one Elizabeth, your Elizabeth, you could say, that means that there is a Booker to go with it almost, which would, I believe is what they were sort of jesting at.
Yeah, because there's always a girl.
You saw obviously Booker being killed and drowned and all that kind. And you saw all the Elizabeths disappear, except our Elizabeth. So I think by proxy, their point of that DLC was so long as there's that one Elizabeth, that also means there has to be one
I think
Comstock.
But to be fair, because our Elizabeth, because the reason why Booker got baptized was because of his big mistake of giving away Elizabeth. Was it not, or was it beforehand?
No, that was way
been a
before
long
that.
time. Oh, is it?
Yeah, he gets baptized after Wounded Knee.
Yeah, it was Wounded Knee.
But I thought he already had Elizabeth by then.
Yeah, and then the one Booker that didn't get baptized was the Booker that went on to become the detective with
the PI.
Yeah.
Yeah, so baptized Booker, Comstat, who couldn't have children, non-baptized.
Yeah. But even then, it would because them eliminating, Booker would also eliminate Elizabeth, which it didn't. So it doesn't, like, the story, that whole point just doesn't really make sense. Now it's just one of those things where I'm being finicky and I'm just like, you're creating a way to sort the story, but you're actually creating more problems. It's an end game issue. By doing something, they've created more issues.
Everything to do with time, travel, always has a loose end that doesn't make sense entirely.
Always.
It's impossible.
No one does it perfect.
It's always one of those things, and it is just one of those nitpicky things that I always had, and that is. There's parts of Bioshock 1 I don't like. There's in some way, shape, or form. Like looking at it now, there's there's gameplay issues. Back then, I'm sure it was flawless. And the same with Bioshock 2. I just found my only issue with Bioshock 2, and is why I didn't like it then, was because Bioshock 1 was linear but somewhat open world where you could explore your arenas, while Bioshock 2 was just pure and utter linear.
It was a bit
Bioshock Infinite, Bioshock Infinite, some of the gameplay mechanics as well, it wasn't up to par, I suppose, of then as well. But one of my actually, there's also another issue I have as well, is the fact, the part in Bioshock Infinite where you start splitting off into multiple realities and you're jumping into different versions of Columbia.
Yep.
The one day land in and the one that you play the rest of the game in isn't the original timeline.
It's not the original one that you're in. Yeah.
Which really annoyed me. It's like you've now just gone into a different timeline where, Daisy's fine.
I mean, but at the end of the day, you end up fixing all of them anyways. So.
Yeah, kind of thing. It was just one of those. It's a nitpicky thing. Otherwise, no. Like Bioshock, I think they are one of those games that are, to me, like a solid 9.5 out of 10. For each of them, they have those little things that I can nitpick with. But overall, at the end of the day, it's fantastic. No game is perfect. And I think one of the greatest things that Bioshock has ever done, and it's a big credit to I suppose the Columbia setting in Bioshock Infinite, is that they essentially created a horror game. Sort of.
It was sort of like it wasn't really horror.
Yeah,
but
it's not full.
I can see it in the first
It's not
one,
full ass horror, but like you're
it's
like
playing
Bioshock.
It's like
the first one.
It's like a thriller equivalent. In like
kind of. Yeah.
You already have thriller games the way you have
There's
thriller movies, but it's kind of like that.
I think Bioshock 1 and 2, I suppose, did it more successfully because you're in a darker lit area. There's,
Infinite
a lot of those kind of jump
really.
scares.
Yeah, it's too bright and colourful to be
That's
horror.
the thing, but that's why I say it bodes, it's a credit to Infinite because it's so bright and colourful and contrasty that you still get those little horror sections, those little bits that just make you jump and kind of make you tense. I think it's not. Yeah, I'm not going to call
the
it
orphanage
horror
at the end of Infinite.
Bioshock 1, I would closer kind of push it to it.
Yeah,
but it's a credit to them that they were able to do that so successfully in such a contrasty, colourful game. Such a bright environment.
The big No, go Kyle.
I don't have many things I would say I disliked about the games, because I think the only thing I never really liked that much, and it was just kind of like, it didn't matter that much to me. It was just, I didn't particularly think much of the combat. Like, I never thought it was particularly
Combat's not great.
drawing.
No,
It's not. It's not bad, but it's also not anything special. It's
limited.
You're shooting and you have some cool powers, but you don't play a Bioshock game for the combat. It should be you don't. Like there's some in Infinite, there was some cooler guns, some old school kind of guns and all that kind of stuff. That was quite fun. And again, the powers were cool, and
I will say
it could be enjoyable. But it wasn't anything special. But at the same time, it didn't matter that much, because again, it's like giving out about The Last of Us about the combat. So I say I wasn't a big fan of the gun mechanics in The Last of Us. Like, who fucking cares? Are you playing The Last of Us for the guns? No, you're playing it for the damn story, or the character, the world, the art, for everything like that. That's Bioshock for me as well. Combat, didn't particularly enjoy it. It was fine, but I didn't really care that much to begin with anyway.
I will say one thing though, that when you're saying like the combat isn't the main thing, I will disagree in one way, where a lot of Bioshock, the games, one of the big pushes was the plasmids and the the vigors.
Yeah,
that was a big push in the games where you were able to use your powers, and I think like I'm not like the gameplay wise, mechanically it's very, it's not janky, but it's just not to par of a lot of shooter games. But it's fine.
Sluggish.
It's fine.
But it's not supposed to be a Twitch-based shooter.
Yeah. No. But I do have to give them credit for the powers. I did enjoy using the powers. I liked using like different techniques of like, use the murderer crows or like the hornets of bees in Bioshock. Like those little things.
They were cool.
And pairing it with different things, it was always quite fun. And just even, the smaller things of like, you could take over some of the machine guns, or you could like, there was a pile of oil and you could shoot that, or like chuck your fire on it and blow it up. Love those little things. And that little gameplay, I will give them credit for. Overall, the shooting, it wasn't massively great, but it just didn't have to be. It was simple. It was fun.
Exactly.
Nope, you go, Brian.
No, I was just going to say, that's one thing I love, especially in the first one, and it's in the other two as well, but especially the first one, is that you have 3 or 4, like about 3 different ways you can play it. You can be all guns blazing. You could be a hacker man.
Yeah.
Or you could be like, I'm going to set traps with my plasmids and stuff like that. I like the freedom of you can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
play how you want.
I did like that.
Yeah, which is very nice. Sorry, no, Kyle, go ahead.
Oh, I would say one of the things as well that I must just give massive credit for, especially predominantly with Infinite as well, actually, was I hate fucking quests, shall we say, that is a constant sort of go to B. Oh no, B isn't there. Now you have to go to this other place to get the thing for B, and that thing's not there. So now you need to get the thing for that thing. Then you need that thing for the thing to get you back to the original thing. Basically, just think of if you played The Witcher 3. Finding Dandelion basically is what I'm talking about. That whole thing.
See,
Witcher 3, phenomenal game. That part of it, that quest part of it, can fuck itself.
That game has its issues.
Yeah. To
To
quote another famous YouTube channel, hold up a minute.
Hold up a minute. The game.
But Infinite is all of that, almost. Almost all of it is that. But it's still awesome, and it never made me go annoyed that there was another sort of roadblock or something like that. Your quest, shall we say, is handed to you immediately. Find Elizabeth, bring Elizabeth back. That's the quest. That is the story, and you were handed that at the very beginning, and everything is a stumbling block to that. But at no point was I getting frustrated by that because I wasn't wanting to end it quickly or something like that. So they just made it because they kept giving you more instead of dragging you along, essentially, which is what Dandelion was basically what it was. I just felt like I was being dragged along. I felt like I had to learn more and explore more. The world started to be filled in a lot more. New characters happened and all this kind of stuff that made me much more like, this is awesome.
I feel like the Dandelion stuff was just padding on a game that's already a bit too long.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that eventually.
Look, it's one of those things of where there's a big difference between being given a story, getting to that point, and not being given anything and just told to go to another point. Bioshock, when you play it, you're told to do something and you come across obstacles that you have to overcome to further progress, and then it's kind of like, oh shit, something's happened where we have to go another way around and kind of work your way through. But you're progressively given more story, more interactions. Like, do you remember that part in Infinite where you have Elizabeth at this point? She's never been out of the her little monument, and you go along the beach area,
having a bit of a Rapunzel moment.
Yeah, and she's just like twirling around, she's dancing and stuff like that, and it's not only a really beautiful area to look around, but it's just a really like character development moment where you can get to actually see Elizabeth and kind of enjoy what kind of person she is. And then the more that story progresses from like this nice, innocent learning about the world, Elizabeth finding out a lot more of her storyline, where she came from, who she is, and kind of going down more of a, I suppose, a darker road for herself.
Oh, 100%.
It is.
And that's, for me, that's world building on Elizabeth's part, because the last thing, well, not the last, can't be the last thing we talk about, I don't know. The last thing I want to say is
10 minutes.
Infinite stands on its characters, and I think I personally have no problem saying it. I think it stands on two of the best characters in all of Bioshock, even in gaming, of Booker DeWitt and Elizabeth.
Absolutely,
because their relationship and their just voice acting, like props to Troy Baker and Courtney Draper for Elizabeth, fantastic.
Phenomenal.
You know. Oh my God. I remember I can hear a lot of their conversations in my head. On a random day, I'm like, oh, remember when that moment happens? Yeah, I remember when that moment happens, because it's so beautiful. Did you guys ever get the optional scene of Booker finding the guitar on the pub? That's optional.
Will the circle be unbroken by and by.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful moment. And
that song, that's it.
Will the circle be unbroken?
Oh my God!
Have you ever seen the making of behind the scenes
heartbreakingly beautiful
of Infinite? Have you ever seen the behind the scenes for Infinite?
No,
I've seen bits of it.
Yeah, so at the very end of the game, Elizabeth sings that song over the credits, but she starts crying halfway during the song.
Yeah,
which is great. You can actually watch her. You can watch her record that, because what they had to do, Troy Baker and Ken Levine being the creator of Bioshock, they were in the booth with her, and to get her hyped up for that, they just hurled abuse at her.
Yes, I did hear that.
They just shouted abuse at her. And like, as she's singing, and obviously she called...
I can't ever imagine Troy Baker hurling abuse at anyone. He seems like such a nice guy.
I could see it, but like, you know, I met him a few times. He's super nice.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like this just really nice man.
He's incredibly nice. But yeah, and then watching that making of, and then the two of them coming over and hugging her, like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. He's like, I don't want to say any of this.
It's one of those things, just building up on from what you said, is that their character arc is probably one of the
strongest,
if not the greatest kind of development of character arcs within gaming history.
They're up there with Joel and Ellie from the last.
That's the thing I was going to compare it to, where the closest thing I've ever seen to a strong arc building is Joel and Ellie's, which also happens to be Troy Baker. It's just an absolute credit to his acting ability, his voice acting.
Dude likes the dad and daughter combo.
The dad daughter combos.
Funny enough, one of the things I like anytime Troy Baker talks about his performance as Joel, he'll always kind of bring up the fact that in order to get into the role of Joel, he had to kind of
punch a few kittens,
dark memories, or like some unpleasant memories that he had brought up in order to get Joel. It was one of those things of when he was in arcade con, someone asked him to do the Joel voice for them, and he was like, I can't. It's one of those things that I have to mentally prepare myself for a while before I put on the Joel voice, because I have to get in that mindset. And he was like, I can do Joker, no problem. I can switch right onto it and get straight into it. But Joel is different.
Yeah.
I want to know what that. It's one of those things of it. He never has to tell me.
He never.
I want to know. He's never said.
That's a personal thing.
Yeah, it's a very personal thing, and it's not one of those things I'd ever go up and be like, "Hey, Troy, tell me what you had to think
Hey man,
about."
what made you so sad? Yeah, I met him.
It is interesting. It is interesting to kind of it would be interesting to know that. I don't need to know.
No, but just as an actor's point of view, I love to see. I love hearing actors talk about what gets them
absolutely.
into roles.
Yeah, that's exactly where I come from.
I've met him a few times, and like I was like, "Hey man, you're great as Joel, but Booker DeWitt."
Yeah,
I have said that. I'm like, look, I could talk to you for ages about Joel, but like, can we just talk about Booker DeWitt? Booker DeWitt instead? And he actually looked at me, he's like, "You're the first person to like not talk about Joel." He's like, "I'm so happy."
Man, I'd be in the exact same boat, because again, I played the first. I haven't played the second one because I'm not all that bothered. But I the first one, I'm sorry, because I enjoyed The Last of Us, but at no point was I kind of like, this is amazing. It just didn't hit me in the same way that it hit a lot of people. I much preferred the dynamic between DeWitt and Elizabeth so much more. It just seemed more natural. I don't know what it was about it. I don't know if it was the chemistry between the two voice actors as well, or just their own ability to read off each other, if they bring in stuff off the table to kind of be able to enhance that that connection they had.
It is a bit of everything, you know, and it's definitely the context of the story arc as well. I think bodes well, like the story itself. I think it's a bit of everything that made that story arc so special.
It was
so successful.
It was incredible. Like, one of my favorite things about it was, I don't think you'll find a single person alive in the gaming world that actually will say the words, "Oh yay, an escort quest," because they fucking suck. Everyone hates escort quests. So when Elizabeth tags along, my immediate thought was kind of just like, oh, do I have to like protect her all the time now? And boom, the game just comes up with that big thing in front of you. It's like, don't, like, focus on yourself. Don't worry about Elizabeth. She can take care of herself. And I was just like, oh yeah, Elizabeth.
And opening those riffs.
She's phenomenal. And one of my favorite lines, not even from the game but about the game, is, I can't remember your man's name, Dan Bull or something like that. He did some rap on YouTube, and he has like the single best line about Elizabeth, which is like, she's no damsel in distress, she's the best damn wingman to ever don a dress.
I mean,
and it was just like,
good.
boom.
Yeah,
That was one of the best lines to describe Elizabeth as a character. She's phenomenal.
Yeah,
so good.
Voice,
Absolutely.
in terms of like, they have a lot of lines like that would have come across cheesy if it wasn't said by them, because if out of context,
I can think of one.
I'll give an example that would make me, which would, if for anyone else said it, would make me kind of almost cringe of how cheesy it was, but worked beautifully for those two. And that was when Elizabeth asked Booker DeWitt, Booker, are you afraid of God? And
are you afraid
Booker's
of God?
response to that was, no, I'm afraid of you.
No.
Booker, are you afraid of God?
No. But I'm afraid of you.
And that
I'm afraid of you.
chills. Absolute chills.
I was, do you know what? Before you started talking, I made a note. I was like, I need to bring that line up.
Yeah.
Because it's my favorite line in all of Bioshock Infinite, because it's
a testament to their ability as a voice actor and the writing, that a line like that can come across very cheesy and very just kind of fake almost, like you wouldn't actually believe
so
what he was
edgy.
saying. Yeah, way too edgy. But it worked.
And the funny thing about it is, you hear that line at the very start of the game, the minute you start it. Minute you start the game, before you hear anything at all, it's that line.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, I'm intrigued. And then you get to that point, which happens about 3/4 way
It's
through
in the
game.
elevator or something.
In the elevator, or you're getting onto like a barge, I think, and you're taking off or something like that. And that's when that line happens. I'm like, I love these two characters. I love you.
Oh yeah.
I love you. I love you two characters.
You're also talking about the very beginning. What's also completely amazing about it is the game tells you.
Yeah.
The game tells you at the start.
And
It tells
exactly
you.
it.
Just
And
it tells you. It
It's
tells you at the
Bioshock 1
start.
all over again. It literally tells you
Big
everything
thing.
is, and the worst thing is, I suppose as a gamer, when you go back to play that game and you know exactly what happens, and you're there going, "How did I not cop this at the start?"
Yeah.
Like literally the Lutessa twins when they're on the boat and they turn around, and he's like, "He never rose."
He doesn't row.
And
do you mean
he's
he doesn't
like, "Oh, wait, what?" And she turns in and says, "No, he never rose." And I was like, "How did I not cop this? How did I
Yeah.
not?"
Yeah.
They
Like,
like
there's
tell
just
you
lots of
everything
little
at the
things.
beginning.
Yeah.
Those
Even-
twins
Do you know the
are
checkerboard where
amazing.
they're like
The
the
Lutece
coin
twins
flip?
are fantastic.
I love them. The Lutece
The
twins, like
twins
the
Voiced by both Commander
Yeah.
Shepherds, I believe, as well.
they
which
are,
is
yes.
awesome.
What's your
Jennifer Hale, yeah.
Lucy Hale, and yeah. Who's the fella
Jennifer Hale.
Jennifer
and Mark
Hale.
Mayer.
Yeah.
I believe both of them are voiced by the two shepherds, which I just
I
love
do
that
not know
little
why I
anecdote.
said Lucy Hale.
But I love
I think
that
that's
they're
someone
the
else
same
I know.
person, just from a different
Yeah,
timeline.
they're not actually twins. They're
And
the
also
same
they're-
person.
Yeah, they're just the same
They're the same person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which
And,
explains then why they're talking in unison and also
In unison,
finishing each
yeah.
other's sentences so seamlessly
Yeah.
because they are
Yeah.
literally the same person.
And then I love at the end that even when you get into the DLC, that it's like the Lutece twins apparently gave Dr. Hushang from Bioshock 1, they gave him the idea of the Big Daddies.
Yeah, the Big Daddies.
You
yeah.
learn that in like, but
From
I'm
the
like,
handyman. Or-
yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is stuff I never needed to know,
Yeah.
but I love that I,
I love
know
Vice,
it.
vice
I
versa
loved that they
with
were
the vigor
providing-
and the
Yeah.
because they
Yeah,
got
and the plasmids.
they got that from Rapture and created
Yep.
vigor in Colombia.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I think that's fantastic. How they further to tie on the games it is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
If I was to say, I know we talked about it earlier, it's like what you didn't like. There's not a lot I don't like about these games. I like pretty much everything. I think
Yeah.
they are
Phenomenal.
fantastic, phenomenal games. If I was to say something I genuinely don't like, there's things in the games that I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't love it, but I can skip by it, or I can ignore it because it's good. The only thing I do not like in all three Bioshocks, and it only happens in the first one, is the god awful final boss fight.
Yeah.
Why
I said
does
this
that boss
earlier,
fight
he is
happen?
I just like brushed it under as like that terrible boss
Yeah.
fight.
I hate it.
It's like it's
The entire
so
game is like, this is how you
stupid.
play. Decide how you play. Whatever way. Oh, now it's just shoot the man until he's dead. I'm like,
Yeah.
And I get it. Because at the end of the game, if you look at him, he looks like the Atlas that's holding up the world
Yeah.
from like Atlas Shrugs and all that. Do you get the joke? It's like, I get
Yeah,
it,
I
but did you have to make
I
it?
get
a
it, dude, I
really
get
Did you
it.
have to
shit
make,
boss fight?
did you have to make
Yeah,
the
it's
boss
like,
battle shit?
and
though?
I'm really happy that in the other two, they went, oh, that was bad. Let's not do
Yeah,
that.
let's not do that.
The
Now,
final boss in
there-
Infinite is great.
Yeah.
It's a final boss, as far as I remember, in Infant's just like you're on a barge and songbirds flying around, but
Yeah.
you're just shooting
You're on the
enemies,
ship,
aren't you?
yeah.
Yeah.
You're on a big
Yeah, you're
massive
just
ship.
kind of just
It's
defending
not like
against
it's not
a
like
wave
a
of
boss
enemies.
boss fight. It's like a it's like one of those. I like
Yeah.
those. I like that games don't always have to have boss fights per
Yeah.
se. They just have to have this very difficult. It's like when we were playing World War Z, where it's like the last boss fight is just this massive wave where
Yeah.
you really have to focus on taking down these hordes. I like sometimes when games do that. You don't always have to have a boss fight.
Yeah.
You know, you just
I'm
if you gave me
of the
something-
opinion that
Boss fights
I'm
are
of the
cool.
opinion that
but
yeah, boss fights cool, but
boss
I'm of
fights.
the opinion that they're not needed anymore. It
Yeah.
depends on the game, like something like Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal.
Yeah,
that's an
they
arcade,
they kind
super
of
fast shooter. That one I can see as boss fight, but in something like Bioshock or Last of Us doesn't have boss fights.
Doesn't have
Could you imagine a boss fight in like The Last of Us? The end of the game, it's
Yeah,
like
it'd be
fight this giant thing. I'm like, yeah, that's kind
Well,
of
that's the
stupid.
thing, because boss fights were just like the oldest means of
They're
game
getting
progression.
people to pay more coins.
Yeah.
It is the oldest thing. It's the ultimate roadblock to finishing
Yeah.
a game, was just making
Yeah.
a singular final boss, which you'll see
Yeah.
in like nearly every arcade game.
Yeah.
Yeah, every game had it back
They
then.
nearly all, bar maybe the likes of Pac-Man and stuff. They all had, which just had a hard level, obviously, but like they all just had this roadblock with because it was kind of the only thing they could do to kind of show a level of progression, was just
Yeah.
add something in it that was objectively harder.
Exactly.
So we're still very much on that in a lot of games. Boss fights has
We
been
are.
the
Yeah.
most predominant means
No,
of
like
progression.
yeah, it's like it is very much situational. In some games, I like, as Brian said, the bosses in Doom Eternal, amazing. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
fighting them.
They make sense.
funny thing is, one of my absolute all-time favorite boss battles ever, and I fully just think it just didn't need to be there whatsoever, shape or form, was Metal Gear Solid 4, the Liquid Snake battle at the end. You Ocelot.
Oh, it's so good
fighting on
though.
top of it. It's amazing. Probably one of the, oh my god, all-time favorite boss battles. It's so amazing and intense, and
It's so
been while all the
emotional.
credits are
It's
going.
so intense. It
It's
brings the
so
entire
good.
story of 20 years together.
It is so
Love it.
amazing. And I was just like, what? You didn't need to put this here
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
It's just,
I totally understand it. I
yeah,
do.
it's just one of those things. I
God
loved
damn
it.
it, I love it.
Do not get me wrong. It's as I said, it's one of my all-time favorite, if not my favorite boss battle I've ever had in my gaming history. And I just didn't want it there. You know? Look, before we start talking on too long, and there's a lot we could be talking about more, and there's a lot we've probably definitely missed. Guys, what do you think will happen in the future for Bioshock, or what do you hope to happen in the future?
Well, rumors are it's going to be open world. I don't know how I feel about that.
No.
No, would not
I
I
like
think that
that.
takes away from
Like-
the story.
I mean, like, I get that, like, Infinite, you could kind of say it was a bit open. It had, like, hub areas you could kind of walk
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
And you could revisit.
So,
yeah,
and you can revisit. So
Yeah.
if it keeps it like that,
fine.
then I'm
be fine
I'm
with
fine
that.
with it. If it's open world, I'm going to say this now. I've thought this. The Witcher 3 started this with me. As much as I love The Witcher 3, it's top 10 of all time. Love it. But kind of sick of open worlds.
I'm definitely not. I love open worlds, but I don't think
every
Bioshock
game-
fits in that idea.
Yeah, it's one of those things of I love open worlds, but like boss battles, it's situational. Not every game
They're
needs to be
done
open world.
to death.
You know,
Every
sometimes
game's
I like
open
to
world.
have a game that's smaller or linear. Sometimes I like to have a story-driven game rather than interacting
Exactly.
with every single. Because I have that problem with gamers, and I'm not as bad as some people. I have to look in every single little corner of a map
yeah.
to
Oh, yeah.
find
Unveil
every
the
single
map.
little thing. Just because they're down that alleyway, there might be an Easter egg or there might be a collectible, and I have to do it. And
Yep.
by giving me an open world, just gives me more area to have to look through, and it's going to drive me nuts. I
think
just don't
the-
think all games need to be open world. I think some
no.
games do relish from
Yeah,
it, the likes
yeah.
of The Witcher.
I agree. I
work
agree. It
well,
does.
You know, I don't think Bioshock
it-
does. I think it works well with the hub system.
I think the
We're-
the most open worlds I'd be okay with for Bioshock would be God of War level open world,
Yes,
because
yeah,
that
yeah.
is technically open world,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's such a linear path design
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's more backtracking rather than full open world.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
always return back.
Yeah.
But you could, it's still pretty open. Like you had the lake, which kind of gave you that little bit of a sort
It was
of
like-
open
yeah, it
world
That was your
vibe.
hub
it
world,
was-
essentially.
But
yeah.
that is about as much open world as I would want, because it still gives exactly what you were on about, Kieran. That ability to look
Mm.
behind every little corner without it being so overwhelming that you can, you know, jump over this rock and now you're in a whole different planes, basically.
Yeah.
So like that would
Yeah.
be if it was open. If they said open world and it was like God of War, I'd be like, cool, fine, I can deal with
That's
that.
fine.
That's
Yeah.
great.
I think
If you
that's
come
okay.
at me with a Horizon Zero Dawn open world, I'm gonna have some problems.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like that. It's like, oh, your next quest is now all the way across the
Yeah,
map. I'm like,
no,
Yeah.
cool.
I've had
Well
enough of them.
then,
would still buy it, but I'd be annoyed.
look, I'm gonna say it now. It's a guaranteed buy already.
Yeah,
here
they can literally say it's going to be a freaking
Pre-order.
cash.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Yeah,
a cash
yeah.
casino game or
Yeah.
one of those
Yeah.
horrendous YouTube ads
Spot.
that has a little
Yeah.
guy in a tower that's level
Read.
1. he fights another level 2 orc and dies. And
Yeah,
goes
and
back.
then he
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck it. Add to shopping cart.
I'd buy it.
Yeah.
I'd buy it. Little big daddies there. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
But,
I'll still buy it.
There you go. Now, I have not given this any thought because I literally just thought of it right now. Well, two questions. What kind of setting would you like for the new Bioshock now? Because we've had in the sky, we've had under the ocean. Would you like a regular city? Would you like space?
There's a Bioshock in space.
I
No,
think-
that would be awful.
I think for me a nice areas, because we've been under the ocean, we've been in the sky. I think a nice setting for it would be a city on the ocean, like a floating city, an island kind of city, but not even an island. I think like if it was like Colombia, but floating on the water instead. So it was like just a load of like, you know, small little boat islands that were floating on the surface, but you could kind of travel around to them, because it'd be like something like if you've played it's not called a Cthulhu, it's the other one that's the Cthulhu in
Sunken City.
Sunken City. Do you know what Sunken City's kind of like in it's not open world, but it's like it's a kind of, it's a small enough area, but it's open enough, but you can travel it by just sailing your boat. I think that'd be a nice little setting where it's a city where you can sail your boat around, like, and kind of travel. I
never thought of that, actually.
I think that'd be a nice little setting for it.
I think that they're going to have to. They're obviously going to have to do something. Probably going to have to do something different. It won't be Rapture and it won't be Columbus. But one of the things that kind of makes me think that would be plausible to and still be unique and also really good is there's this place, again, it's in I'm afraid you won't know what I'm talking about now when I say it, but it's in World of Warcraft. It's called Nagrand, and it's in the Outlands. For anyone who does know it, it is this this like open, beautiful open plains, like safari kind of plains, but it has these floating like
rocks,
floating rocks,
like
but has
Avatar.
Still has the kind of like Avatar, and you could have your building, your city kind of stretch out amongst these floating rocks, but also cool. Where these rocks came from is the ground, obviously. So that ground where the floating rocks came from would be a big empty, you know, canyon essentially, and you could have a canyon-like city in the earth as well. So you can have both of this floating city, but also this Grand Canyon underground city as well.
Interesting.
So a
bit of fantastic
both.
For that is because like you could have the cities up on top of the floating rocks, and then the craters are their slums. I think that'd be an interesting kind of idea.
I mean, quite literally, we literally are above you. You know, that kind of they love playing on that society class kind of a thing. You would literally have a reputation. Yeah, literally, it's right there in front of your face. We are better than you. We float above you, and you are down in the dirt in the caves and everything.
Yeah, I like both of the ideas because again, it's taking a familiar format of the other three, Rapture and Columbia, but then putting a nice new spin on it. That's not a bad idea. I like it. I like it.
Hey guys, who are doing
as
this?
I said,
you can have that idea.
Bam. I think I have the name of the city of the company here. I can't minimize.
I think I just have the email right here.
I need a second screen for this. Honestly, I kind of said it, and I said it as a joke. But what if it's in space? What if it's a space station?
I don't know.
It's the same thing.
John, it'd be great if it was like Wolfenstein in space kind of thing. Do you know the way they have their on the moon?
If you have a floating city in orbiting Earth, I don't know, you could have that. You know, it's still a city, and you still have the class thing, and you know.
Yeah.
If anyone's ever watched the show,
that much.
I know you don't like it.
I like
that's
sci-fi,
why I kind of said it.
It's like one of those things that I have a problem is with the whole space ideas, because all I think of is when films started to push into the 90s and they were no longer relevant or successful, so they just brought them into space, like Jason X, you had Freddy and Leprechaun in space. All of those.
Was Freddy in space?
Maybe Freddy wasn't. I thought he was, but no, I think it was like Jason. There was Leprechaun.
I know Jason X was in space.
You know, there was a lot of those movies that kind of pushed them into space. Like there was vampires and like vampires on Mars and stuff like that. It's like, you know, those. It just reminds me of that where it's like a cheap option, or it's like, oh, this isn't really going anywhere. What do we do? Just put him in space. It's fine.
Put him in space.
Put him in space.
See, I only really said it because you guys already gave two really good answers, and I had nothing. So I was like, fuck it, I'll go with space. What time frame
I was just about to ask that as well.
Would you like it to be again? So Rapture was the 50s, or Bioshock 1's the 50s, Bioshock 2 is the 60s. I actually want to see like I want to see 1980s.
Do you know what I think? I would kind of like to see, and I suppose because it would play. I suppose it would bode well with the social situation that we're currently going through. I think a modern day setting might bode well in terms of, do you know the way Wolfenstein also does it, where it's kind of I was like in the 60s kind of version of after the war where there was still kind of like a foreboding racism. I think a modern day kind of take of the Bioshock where that is still fully in place kind of thing. That might kind of be interesting. Or
I'd
even
love
like,
to see
you
a
know,
modern day,
where
yeah.
it would be kind of steampunky, or it would continue on with the technology that you would have from Rapture and developed in Rapture and kind of modernized in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
kind of
I'd
thing.
love to see what that would be like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle?
I'm kind of good with any time frame from like the 1920s to the 1980s, to be quite honest. I think even 1970s. I don't know if I'll go so far as 1980s, because I like the old timey
Like,
wimey
you don't
stuff.
want
I
that
don't
synthwave?
want to get it
You don't want that
too
synthwave?
technologically advanced, because I like the uniqueness that kind of comes from it, like the sort of MP3 version of vinyl that they all had, which was very cool. So it's been able to sort of modernize that sort of old idea, which was really cool. So you can't really do that with a lot of things that came out in the 1980s, because a lot of things that came out in the 1980s is kind of similar versions of what we already have, just more advanced of them. So I think 1920s, 1970s, anytime I like that stuff. It sounds weird to say that I liked the racism, but because that just sounds awful.
boy.
Look,
but I liked the fact that they highlighted the realism of that age. They didn't sugarcoat. They didn't sugarcoat the social issues of the time, and I enjoyed that. That there was
one of those things.
There's a level of honesty to it, and it also made for very good and stressful stories. Because those sort of time periods, you just had so many rising of so many influential people, and and very monumental movements and things like that. That it's nice when games you can kind of play a game around that, which is cool because you can read about it, you can see about it, but it's fun to be able to play it as well.
Experience it,
It's very cool. Everyone likes Wolfenstein because everyone likes being able to punch Hitler. So it's kind of like that.
Absolutely.
Last, I'll piggyback off that now, really quick, because I know we're running out of time. Would you like it to tie into Bioshock 1 and Infinite? Would you like to see Rapture again? Would you like to see the Lighthouse? Would you like to see all that again?
No.
I don't know if I'd like to see it again, but I think it'd be stupid if they didn't tie it into the universe. Because they've already done it now with Infinite, they kind of have to push forward and tie it in with it.
Yeah.
I don't think it should go back and revisit Rapture.
No.
Now,
I don't want to go physically back there.
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
do want them to acknowledge there's a lighthouse, there's a girl, there's three parts to that saying. I can't remember what it is. There's always a lighthouse, there's always a girl.
Yeah.
There's something else, I can't remember what it is.
I think they could like this new Bioshock 5, which I don't even think the title of being Bioshock 4, which I don't even think has been confirmed as the title.
No,
so it hasn't.
So nothing. The game hasn't even been announced.
For all we know, they're going to go about this the same way they did when they released Bioshock, because Bioshock isn't the first of their their games. That sort of vein of games. I can't remember what the original was called.
System Shock.
System Shock. So we could very easily get a new something Shock. In the same vein and same style, but as far as I'm aware, System Shock doesn't tie into Bioshock.
No.
So like they could I feel like the Bioshock storyline has finished, and I like that it is finished. They put a bow on it and everything, and I think it's great. And I think it would be wise for these developers who are now not from the original team in that sense to not try and sort of tamper with that. So give us a new Shock game, which means that you can build your own universe around that, but stay true to the sort of the style of it, everything like that. The style of it was great. The art of it was great. The emphasis on world building and character design and character progression and everything like that. That's the Shocks have all done so well at. But I feel because of the new people involved with this, and that Bioshock really, I feel, needs to be left alone. I think it's great. There's no point really kind of prodding open that again and trying to make something out of it, because you could end up just sort of tarnishing it a little bit opening up again when it really should be left alone. So I think it's going to be, if they're going to do a new one, it's going to be a new Shock, not Bioshock, but a new Shock, and I think that will be fantastic, because I'll be really excited to see where they go with that.
Interesting. Yeah. Apparently, I was reading something there. Apparently, there's a whole lot of people who worked on the original working on this one now with this new studio. So
sweet.
Yeah, apparently there's a whole load of veterans from 1 and Infinite working on this one.
That's pretty cool.
So
bitch.
we'll see,
it's in
it doesn't
good
have Ken.
hands.
It doesn't have Ken Levine. No, Ken Levine was the genius behind all of it.
Yeah.
So we don't have Ken. But look,
Look,
we'll see where
it is
goes.
fine. At least it's kind of in safe hands, kind of thing. You know,
exactly.
you're going to get a good game. You know,
Yeah, Bioshock is great.
If you haven't played it, play it.
Play it.
It is.
Congratulations.
What are you
spoiled all
doing
of it.
listening to us when you could be playing Bioshock?
No,
I mean, we actually did a pretty good job of not spoiling a lot. We
Not a lot. We kind of just talked.
hinted at a lot of things. We didn't really spoil
you could still
it.
definitely enjoy the game.
You
if
could still
you,
definitely go ahead and play it.
you
and
have
I mean,
really
we
enjoy
totally
it.
did. Yeah, I mean, we totally didn't say that Elizabeth is Booker's daughter. We didn't say that.
No. Well, to be fair, we actually didn't spoil the ending of Bioshock 2, so hey, you can still play Bioshock 2 and not know what the hell happens at the end of that. We spoiled the first one and the third one, didn't spoil the second one, so that's still for
Well,
you
we
to
spoiled
enjoy.
that there's a boss fight. We didn't say what happens.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There
We
is
still
but
have the
maybe you
story
lose.
getting there.
Maybe you lose. Maybe you get the bad ending.
Would you kindly go play the Bioshock games?
Would you?
Oh,
kindly?
he said the line. Now you have to.
You have to.
A
Gotcha.
man chooses, a slave obeys.
Oh,
Good.
yeah.
Well,
All right,
I think we've taken enough of these beautiful people's times.
yeah.
Kyle, take us out.
That
You brought us in.
that is everything from us talking about Bioshock. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching if you have watched. I've been Kyle, this has been Brian, and that's been Kieran. And we have been the Ready Up Podcast. And remember, we do Twitch as well. So we do stream, and it's fun. We did World War Z. We did a bit of Valheim at one point. We did a bit of Sea of Thieves. So, always changing things up. Myself and Kieran did a bit of Apex, which was lots of fun. So, I'm going to revisit that as well. So, make sure you try that. Like, subscribe, comment, all those things.
All that stuff.
All that stuff.
Kieran,
Brian is still neglecting the Instagram, but he's going to get there eventually.
I don't know what to put on. I'll do it eventually.
Photos
But
of
he's
feet.
going to get there.
He'll get there.
Also, tune in this week at some point. Actually, I don't know because this doesn't go up Friday, so I don't know. Would you have streamed before that?
It
So
will
there's no point in me saying.
It will have already have streamed.
Tune in the past for Kieran's
in
stream
the
of
past.
Resident Evil 8.
Let's take it
It's
from
going to
here,
be
though.
great.
Yes.
It's going to be so good.
As you might have seen last week, I did stream Resident Evil The Village, and what I'm going to do is carry on by revisiting some of my favorite horror classics. So tune in on, I don't know what day, I haven't really said it yet, but I will be playing some of the originals. That's
gonna
Silent
happen.
Hill, Resident Evil, just tune in. It'll be good fun. Watch me.
And
shit
I
myself.
will be streaming at least the first few hours of Mass Effect from the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which will be out after this episode goes live, actually. So
I'm gonna
actually
probably
comes out
stream
the
more
night
Apex,
of.
because I like
That will be
Apex.
interesting.
Apex is fun.
Apex is fun.
Apex is back.
So,
But for now.
we'll see you next time, people.
Bye.
Bye.